The Oruga Podcast.
Somehow somebody's always looking the other way. Now look at these guys. They look busy, right?
You could talk about that all day long, about how the anti-war movements were peaceful, but then there was government infiltration to make sure that they turned violent so they could start policing those peaceful protests because the protests turned violent. And the same thing with did those Black Lives Matter protests during 2020, how some of them were peaceful, but then they turned violent. And you never could figure out why they turned violent. To this day, I still think there was government infiltration of trying to make sure that those peaceful protesters were instigated, and they just had government agents just incite violence so the police could move in and disrupt the protests. Yeah,
it was such a trippy time. Like, remember those bricks just coming out of nowhere?
Where are these fucking pallets of bricks coming from? It's not like, and they always would say construction crews would leave those behind, and you're like, get the fuck out of here.
Welcome to the Op. Be sure to check out Oruga's shop. We make shirts and hoodies that are comfortable and stylish. Follow @ShopOruga and visit orugastore.com. That is ORUGA store.com. Beat produced by Saipuda. Check him out at saipudabeats.com.
Welcome back to the Oruga Podcast. It's been a while since we've recorded. It's probably been a couple weeks or so.
At least two, probably.
At least two, for sure. Yeah.
You recorded with Kyle and Kahaya since then?
No. It was...
Not Kahaya.
So, me and you did a recording, and then, me and Kyle did a recording a couple days later, and then that was it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, it has been a while.
And, I mean, I don't know if this is our last recording with this mic, but soon we're gonna have a new setup where we're hopefully gonna sound 10 times better. So that's exciting.
Yeah, and we'll be looking fancier hopefully with cameras soon as well.
I mean,
You won't just have drone footage to be staring at. You'll be staring at our beautiful faces.
You won't be looking at New York or Croatia. You'll be looking at us. Which is funny that on YouTube we'll have, New York or Croatia as drone footage. And, somehow, I don't know what it is, but every single podcast I somehow bring up going and living in New York. Which is I don't mean to. I just think about it.
It just is the recurring theme with you.
It is. I'm a fucking broken record when it comes to wanting to live in New York and just wanting that experience. Oh my gosh, of course. Right now, I can't help myself from talking about it.
Is it just going to all the different food places, or is it just skyscrapers? The walking lifestyle. It would be really cool to just go in every single skyscraper down there, or make an attempt to.
That's fucking laborious. You'd have to live there for fucking 30, 40 years to have that much of
freedom to go around.
That's a lot. I don't know, but just the ability to see all the different cultures, all the different food venues. You get to see so much good architecture. There's so much art. The biggest worry about living in New York is that it's the first target for a nuclear bomb. It is the first target.
It's because it's the metropolis in every single superhero movie.
They
have to call it some other city.
Right. Gotham or... I don't know. I don't know the others. But yeah, it's just... It's a dream, man. It's a dream.
What, to be living in the city?
To be living in New York City. I mean, I live in the city now, but, like, this city's okay. It's just, it's okay. Apparently it's the home of I Show Speed, but...
No, it's the home of Oruga.
That's right. Okay. Listeners, we are going to be selling in the Bengals official merch store one day. Who knows?
Or Reds. Or one day, if there's a basketball team, we'll also be there.
Right, the Cincinnati Royals.
We're gonna kick it back up. We're gonna kick up the NBA team back in Cincy.
Right, they'll have games at Fifth Third Arena.
Have rounds of funding, so angel investors beware.
Yeah, right. We're trying to get courtside tickets. We're trying to get field tickets to the Bengals.
We're trying to make the stadium. We're not trying to get courtside tickets.
That's right. Instead of it being Paycor Stadium, it's Oruga Stadium. That would be badass, actually. I wonder how much Paycor paid the Bengals for that title.
I know, and that's such a dumb name for a stadium.
Paycor. Yeah. Like the Great American Ballpark, A1 name.
Yeah.
Even the University of Cincinnati's basketball stadium, their Fifth Third Arena, that's okay. I mean, it doesn't really skip in my mind Fifth Third Arena. Okay, whatever. But Paycor?
Especially because Fifth Third is Cincinnati based. I don't know if Paycor is. It probably is. I don't know.
I don't think Fifth Third's...
Fifth Third is, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you... okay.
It is from Cincinnati.
Okay.
Which I found out. I thought it was pretty wild.
That is pretty wild. It's like PNC, which is a pretty predominant...
Is that from Georgia?
Pittsburgh.
There's so many banks from, like, Florida and Georgia.
Well, that Coke money, man. I'm just kidding.
I know, right?
Right.
Something was flooding in the 80s.
Right.
We're just going to say it out loud.
The Colombian money, you know? the type of money that they make documentaries out of.
I mean, what was that one stat about how there were banks almost... bank to population ratio or whatever.
There's more banks in Miami than per capita than any other city. I think that's what the stat was, that there's like per capita there's more banks in Miami than any other city.
Yeah, than any other county or whatever.
Yeah. So it's just, you know, it's curious what they're built on. It's curious.
We're going to have to take a visit down there someday to investigate.
Sure, yeah.
What is the city built upon?
Right.
Miami.
It's not the Miami Heat, you know? It's not them bringing in money.
It would be interesting just to lived in the 80s and like 70s and all that when Pablo Escobar and all that.
No, it'll be okay. Too many shootings.
There was a lot of shootings, so I would be paranoid.
Well, at least, like, I don't know, but let me tell you, the Narcos show paints a really interesting picture about Miami in the 80s and late 70s.
Yeah, make it so glorifying.
They glorify the shit out of it. That's why we're talking about it right now.
Bowling.
Oh my god.
Or whatever, wherever that was.
Right.
And I remember that scene.
Discos and the fucking bell-bottom pants were still kind of a thing during the...
Honestly, it's one of the best Netflix shows to have been around, though. I think it's one of the best Netflix shows.
The first 3 seasons are so riveting. So riveting.
Have you ever watched Squid Game all the way through?
No, couldn't get through it. Couldn't get through the first 15 minutes of that episode, or of Squid Games.
I didn't watch it with, like, any... I just watched it with subtitles, but I didn't watch it with, like, the English...
Dubbing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I watched the dub version.
I don't like dub.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
It actually takes all the grit away from it.
And Polish shows and all the other countries, like Swedish or whatever, wherever Netflix is going to make these films and weird-ass episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But some of them dubbed are just ass.
They're so bad.
Because the translations just don't make any sense.
No.
And then it ends up taking the English speaker like 5 more seconds per dialogue to say the whole sentence, and the like Swedish chick is just saying like 2 words.
Right.
And then like that's when it just throws you off too much.
And for how much passion and steam you lose with dubbing, you just lose all of it. Yeah. You lose all of my interest, and you lose all of the passion out of seeing the person mouthing what's not being said. And you're just like, what the fuck, dude? Come on. Like, it's that's why I couldn't get through Squid Games, because it was just too painful.
Really?
Too painful. Yeah. Dude. And also the character in the first 15 minutes about him complaining to his mom, I was like, this is a fucking bitch ass. Yeah. Like,
I don't know if we've talked about it before, but I definitely remember showing you. But it's that movie about the Japanese. It's like World War I and World War II.
Okay.
And it's in Japan.
It's in Japan.
And it's Ip Man. And watching that with just English captions was really interesting, because like,
right,
it's better just to watch it in the native language.
Agreed.
And then have closed captioning.
Because at least you get to hear what they're saying.
It has more emotion, just how the director intended.
Right.
For those actors to say it.
And I feel like it goes back to like how music today, some of the words don't even matter what the words are, but it all matters about how it sounds. Like there's just some words that you'll say that are nonsensical if you write them down, but if you sing them, quote unquote, it just has like, it hits all the right notes. And you're like, that makes total sense. Like, when you have dubbed movies, it just doesn't hit those notes right.
Yeah.
It just doesn't sound correct. But when you listen to the native language, you're like, yeah, shit, dog, I'm fucking I don't even know what the fuck you're saying, but I'm passionate with you.
Yeah.
Because you're saying it at least passionately.
I pour my heart, my blood, my sweat, my tears to this game, and history. We're in the record books.
The Oruga Podcast has united with the Galactic Federation. With worldly symbols and alien logos, we celebrate our galaxy with new merch. Hope you love it, and Godspeed.
But yeah, what do you think about the production of Netflix quality shows and movies? Do you think they're comparable to, say, like, other movie companies out there?
Some of the shows just hit it out of the ballpark.
I mean, I think A24 makes some good horror movies, but it's either a hit or miss. Like, have you ever seen A24?
I got nothing.
Really?
I've never heard that before. Yeah, that's a new term for me.
It's a movie studio. They make just basically horror movies.
Okay.
Or, I
bet horror movies to, like, if you were actually producing them, I bet they would get so stale so quickly.
There's very few movie studios that are selling their things to, like, Hulu and Netflix. Selling their rights.
Yeah. You don't see many.
It seems very picky. Like, I wonder who are the, like, higher up decision makers of that, like, making those choices and decisions. Do they have to get the approval of all the actors that starred in that movie to be like, oh, are you okay with being on Netflix?
I think it's just production teams. Because they own the rights to those people, if that makes sense. Like, they've already...
They starred in it willingly and they signed the contract, yeah.
But we could even talk about how Hulu... Or no, not Hulu. HBO cut all of their... Or at least a lot of their animated shows. And we have no idea... we have no idea why. They've cut so many shows. I mean, like, me and you were talking about that stick figure show that, like, has
it's about a mouse or a pigeon.
Yeah.
And it just is, like, every 5 seconds there would be dialogue, but it wasn't really like a back and forth show.
Had no plot, just really random, awkward as shit. That show, gone. It's like literally fucking like just been obliterated from our reality, and it's just like I have no idea why. No idea why.
Maybe it was just so irrelevant that it just fell off the face of the earth.
It's true, but like I don't know. Who was it? Your girlfriend that found that first?
Yeah.
Which is like, I mean, she found it somehow, right? I mean, so it's, I don't know. It's interesting. Like, how could HBO just like lose rights, or they're like, nope, we don't. This is bad for us. Actually, we can't be paying these TV shows anymore.
I wonder what degree you need to honestly like be making those types of decisions. I get that it's executive level, and then it's probably all like on a company board or even of investors. There's a board of investors also making like voting decisions on these features and shit. But like, I wonder if there's just one person that ultimately just makes the decision.
I don't know.
To have a movie or a show released or cut from their platform.
This raises a good point of like, how do they curate the content on Netflix and Hulu? Like, is there teams of people who
do they almost have like matchmaking people who are like, yo, this makeup designer should be on the next season of Stranger Things because they were on like Vikings or some bullshit like that.
Right. And they're like, oh, there's those independent documentary people. We should pull them onto our streaming platform. Oh, they're on HBO already? We can't have those people then. Yeah. And all the like, it's very curious because we're entering a world where there's more and more creators. There's more and more documentary people. There's more and more movie production companies. I mean, it's only going up and up.
It almost seems like you just keep on submitting your work to these companies, and one day they'll just approve it. You know?
One pilot they'll accept.
Yeah.
One pilot they'll accept.
Which doesn't make any sense. Like, how could... It's like the headhunter idea. Like, there's just these people out here looking for talent, and one day they'll just find you out of some random luck, and then they'll just shoot you an email. We're waiting for that one day.
We're waiting for that. Which is interesting is, why doesn't Netflix have podcasts?
I know, for it to have shows, movies, interactive content, like, what was that? The trivia game?
Have you done the interactive content?
Dude, I played the, Trivia Crack.
Okay, yeah. How was that?
On Netflix with Cynthia. And, like, me and her are okay at it, because it's all, like, pop culture and shit.
Right, yeah.
But we both get, like, decent scores. It's interesting for it to be on Netflix, because Netflix has games. They're entering the game space. So, like, what more content are they trying to release that follows this sort of pattern, you know? Like, they're only going to expand upon these ideas more and more down the road.
Of games?
Of just, like, of all the content they're making. All these platforms. YouTube could probably have games one day, you know?
It still baffles me that YouTube doesn't have TV.
Because TikTok, for people to go live on TikTok, and then they get rewarded stickers, and they get thrown bananas on them, or like hot dogs flash up on the screen, and they get rewarded these gold coins or whatever, and that's on TikTok's platform.
Right.
How are these other like platforms gonna follow suit? Like, is YouTube gonna go down the route with badges, and you like give badges to people who are streaming, or
and you can tip people?
Yeah,
you
just
can
a
tip
channel.
Yeah. And like,
you can tip on YouTube, but like that's for live streaming or whatever.
And I kind of want to expand the idea of like saying YouTube TV. Obviously, they have that now, but what I mean is just like, if me and you were creating TV shows and just uploading it to YouTube and that's it. It's amazing that doesn't exist now. It's amazing to me that like YouTube isn't making TV shows like Game of Thrones and Narcos.
Yeah.
They could. They have the ability to. They have the capital to. They have the ability.
Owned by Google.
They're owned by Google, bro. They can make cell phones. If they can make cell phones, they can make TV shows. But the thing is that...
Not to be shitting on a platform that we're associated with.
Yeah,
like
fuck YouTube.
a third of, besides Spotify and all that.
Right.
Podcast.
Yeah.
Amazon, shout out.
Fuck you, Amazon Music. Yeah.
It's showing some crazy stats for us, though. So bless you, Amazon. Bless you, Amazon, and bless you, Google. Who ultimately make the decisions, I guess, in the end.
And the sponsorship.
Of this corporate monopoly world.
Hey, how?
It's those two companies that literally rule our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Is Microsoft, Google, and Amazon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those three companies, if they just fell off, we would be non-existent as like a society.
Oh, as a society? Yeah, we would have issues. It's funny that I Google everything. That's an adjective now. Or not an adjective, that's a verb. It's a verb now to Google. So I'm doing something, which is crazy. And the fact that that turned into a verb is insanity.
What does it mean? Just to search for?
Just to search.
That's crazy.
Just to, I'm searching, right? I'm Googling something. Googling, that's a thing. that's a phrase I say, and for that to be a thing, I mean, that as a company, that's all you want. You just want to become a verb.
Yeah.
He
Facebooked me the other day.
Right. He FaceTimed me.
He DM'd me.
He Zoomed me.
He Zoomed me. He Pinterested me on the Twitter.
Right. Literally, like Kleenex.
I was about to come up with some dark fantasy novel.
Okay.
He Pinterested me on there. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and just that's all you want as a corporation is to be able to have that kind of recognition in your industry, and for YouTube to not have. They just have what would you say? They just have small time creating.
Yeah.
They just have people individually making content. They don't have production teams. I mean, I guess you could argue that Vice, and I'm assuming some of those history YouTube channels have editing teams and all that. But I'm talking about real TV. I'm talking about Peaky Blinders type of stuff, real production teams.
Yeah. Because they have the budgets to do all that. It's just crazy how they haven't pursued it.
Mm-hmm.
Who are these creative directors who are just in meetings all day and being lazy and not doing any cool projects?
For sure. And I'm gonna talk about something. Unfortunately, me and you talked about this before we got onto the podcast. But for how much of a bummer the Oppenheimer movie was, Jesus, what a fucking bummer that movie was.
You said it was a bummer besides the main actor, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to our boy.
Shout out to
our
Peaky
Murphy
Blinders.
Boy.
Yeah, bro. I forget his full name, but something Murphy. And he is literally a killer actor. He deserves a goddamn grant.
But there wasn't a second of him off the screen, you were saying? You said that he wasn't a second off the screen, right?
Oh, he was every single scene. Every single scene he was in.
Spoiler alert.
Every single scene for the first 2 hours. Those are the only 2 hours I watched. I couldn't watch the last hour of it because it was such a fucking bummer. Because they literally paint Oppenheimer as a fucking communist, which is fine. I don't give a fuck. But the thing is, they're just shitting on him the whole damn movie. And they're he's such a womanizer. And he was only with 2 women. They say that about Albert Einstein, that he was a womanizer too.
Well, what's even worse is that I think you ever go down the rabbit hole about how NASA was founded by Nazis, or they were just Germans that moved over here from after World War II.
Yeah.
That surrendered basically.
Mm-hmm. Well, it wasn't that Nazis.
The US for a better life, I guess.
Refuge.
And
a little bit of getting away from war crimes.
Yeah, of course.
And the people who'd be prosecuting them would be the UN.
I'm really curious about those generations of families. That's like probably hidden from us, obviously. The real scientists that were behind it.
The real scientists are behind what?
Well, besides the women of NASA, of course, because we would not have gotten to the moon without that one woman's help.
Yeah.
Or the trio of women.
I guess it was like a workforce of, there's like a whole division behind calculating the trajectory to the moon.
Yeah.
But
I remember seeing that image on one of the previous podcasts with the books stacked up to the same height as her.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty
and
nutty.
It was all of her work or something. It was like all of her math.
I'm starting to think that was the whole group's.
Yeah.
But
she just wanted to pose next to it to show off like how small she was and how much volume work it was.
Yeah. I don't think it was just hers, but I could be wrong. I'm not really positive.
That's an iconic photo though.
Really iconic, right?
Yeah.
Looking for comfortable? Looking for comfortable and stylish apparel? Something right up your alley? Oruga has a collection for you. Monochrome features sleek black and white designs. The Workweek Thermal features pops of vibrant color. Check out orugastore.com for unique styles and streetwear.
I mean, it's truly impressive, and it's crazy how we're really not taught that. We really weren't taught that.
Yeah.
I gotta talk about this. 9/11 was really, what was it? 5 days ago.
It is 9/16 filming this.
And let me ask you this. And let me build you a foundation for this question. Because me and you were both born in America.
Not to have a pun intended foundation. Sorry.
So we were both born in America, okay? But for how much
only a couple months before 9/11.
Yeah. How much propaganda have you been fed over your lifetime about 9/11?
It's been an overflooding of too much. Like, you don't know who started it in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got too many people telling you different things.
Right. We could never assume that George W. Bush knew anything.
Yeah. People can always come up with their own version in the end.
Yeah. It's kind of like, it was kind of the foundation of how much American propaganda I've been fed. I feel like there's, as an American, I guess we could be taught the American Revolution, there's the Civil War, there's World War II.
If it's already muddy 20 years back, and then the Vietnam War was muddy, you can't really see if it was a good or bad war, like, morally, and obviously World War II wasn't. So I feel like the wars back, like, the years just aren't good.
Okay. Yeah. It's, the lines of truth are definitely blurred. Just for how much, like you said, there's been not much time between us, or the present moment, and 9/11. But for how much mystery you can really dig into during 9/11. Like the fire truck going the opposite direction.
Yeah, you can really muddy up the waters, and that was only 20 years back.
Yes, so, dude.
The idea of misinformation throughout the centuries, or even from the start of the U.S.
Right. And the anti-war movement during the Vietnam era. You could talk about that all day long, about how about how the anti-war movements were peaceful, but then there was government infiltration to make sure that they turned violent so they could start policing those peaceful protests because the protests turned violent. And same thing with did those Black Lives Matter protests during 2020, how some of them were peaceful, but then they turned violent. And you never could figure out why they turned violent. To this day, I still think there was government infiltration of trying to make sure that those peaceful protesters were instigated, and they just had government agents just incite violence so the police could move in and disrupt the protests. Yeah,
it was such a trippy time. Like, remember those bricks just coming out of nowhere?
Where are these fucking pallets of bricks coming from? It's not like, and they always would say construction crews would leave those behind, and you're like, get the fuck out of here. Construction crews don't do that because they know how to keep their products behind closed doors. They're not going to have the liability of losing a pallet of bricks. I don't know how much bricks cost, but they're not cheap, I'm assuming. No. And for just pallets of bricks going.
That was such like writing about currents, though. It's almost like they were just magically there.
Magically there.
No one. It was overnight almost.
Dude, yes. And my favorite thing, and this sounds really but it was such an interesting experience during in the middle of a pandemic. I'm locked in my house and I'm looking at I was literally looking at Snapchat maps and seeing where the hotspots were, and then clicking a hotspot and seeing a riot. You're like, what?
And like Walgreens on fire and looted.
Right. And was there even I remember there was a moment where, I feel like me and you were living in an apartment when there was another riot too. Right? Was there a Cincinnati riot going on? What was that for? Do you remember what the Cincinnati riot was for?
I think it was just timing. I don't know what it was.
I don't know what it was for either. It might have been the Black Lives Matter riots. But I remember some blocks being, even in Newport, Kentucky, some blocks were destroyed. There was a couple of restaurant fronts that were smashed in. Yeah. And they fixed them real quick. I mean, this area recovered from the riots really quickly. But I don't know. That was such a fascinating time. Such a fascinating time. And everybody was heated about that opinion, about the lines of Republican and Democrat were so clear in the sand because it was do you support Trump? Well, then you fucking hate the fucking riots, then, don't you? And it's oh.
You know what's interesting, though? It's living through all that. We were more focused on internal United States because there's been no real wars going on outside of the U.S. for real, besides the Iraq War and Afghanistan and Desert Storm and all that.
Yeah.
But that was just to get almost quote-unquote payback to Al-Qaeda and the Taliban.
Yeah.
That's just...
But as life goes on, man...
That's Bush's fault for going into all that.
It still seems like a political gain for the military-industrial complex.
Yeah.
I mean,
to have something brewing.
Right.
All the time.
I mean, to this day, it still doesn't make sense to me why a little terrorist group would want the entire United States against them.
It's the same thing as it's the colonies versus Britain. It's literally just they don't want the power over them anymore.
Which makes sense, and I get that. That's fine. They want their independence. Well, they have it in Afghanistan, right? But the thing is, it's like, it doesn't make sense to me, like, why they wouldn't want to consolidate their efforts for power in their own state.
In their own homeland, yes.
Right. They're like, you know what? Let's go for out of town.
Instead of established order here in the homeland.
Right.
Because if you're going to settle anything, it should be where you're living at, first off. Like, why would you hop on a plane and just be like, let's fuck up this other country and start an active war just because, you know?
For sure.
It literally, like, there's no thinking process in it, really.
No.
Like,
and the only way the American people would have been okay with spending a lot of their tax dollars going overseas to control this little patch of land that the average American can't pinpoint on a map.
It's the same thought process as Ukraine and Russia. It's like they shouldn't be having a conflict over land right now, or whatever it is, even resources. But they should be having their own disputes.
But with at least Ukraine, you can be like a Cold War argument. It's like, we're going against communism. But with the Afghanistan war, it's like, we're going against, like, people from there.
Oil.
Yeah.
We're not doing anything over there that is beneficial.
Yeah. And it always goes back to humanitarian. You know, we're trying to free the women there. We're trying to free we're trying to have democracy.
Yeah, that's why I think our generation is really focused on homeland politics instead of outer world. Like, we're really focused on the United States growing up as, like, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, because there just hasn't been any outside conflicts, really.
Not ones that have changed our day-to-day.
Yeah.
Like, the World War II changed everybody's day-to-day, I would assume.
Yeah, in terms of resources, and everyone had to almost chip in and have to, like, butt in and help.
Right. Buying war bonds and having... What were they calling those when you only had a certain amount of food that you could buy? They were...
Rations.
Rationing, yeah. And rations for gasoline, too. There was gasoline shortages.
There were milkmen.
Right, milkmen, yeah. It's fascinating. And it's...
The nuclear family life, bro.
Yes.
Dude, that would be so trippy just to have lived in that day and age.
I know.
Everything's white picket fence and everything.
Right. Man.
You got the radio table thing, and it's like, I don't even know what it's called.
And the first time you ever hear of a nuclear bomb is it's dropped on a city. Jesus. Imagine.
That would shock me for 20 years straight.
Well,
like, they dropped a whole ass bomb on a place.
What was it, like June something? I don't remember. But, like, I really forget what was the first bomb dropped? God, I asked that question.
I don't know, but wars are dumb. We should not be partaking in
Yes. This conversation is just to highlight how stupid war is. We're literally one fucking beehive, and we're bombing other sides of the beehive. That's crazy. It's so crazy.
It's not even over honey. It's over the holes, the honey, the holes in the beehive.
Yeah. What frequencies were you saying over there? Jesus, like, and obviously we're oversimplifying life, but like, there was the I've been trying to like educate myself about world politics recently, and there was the G20 in India, I feel like, where like a lot of countries come to meet and just talk about the world of politics.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where I'm trying to get with this, but
that'd be weird to be one nation monitoring another nation's activities that are close to your activities. Do you know what I mean?
I don't.
So, like, say your Navy fleet in that ocean is patrolling, and you always have to, like, remain vigilant of other nations.
Did you know
patrolling.
Did you know China has a bigger naval fleet than us now?
That's interesting, but their Marines probably are not as cool as our Marines.
I don't know about that one. But
I'm brainwashed at this point with that advertisement that I always get. I'm apparently built for the Marines because I get a Spotify ad every time for the United States Marine Corps.
It sounds like a fucking Home Depot ad.
One step away from making me sign up for a credit card.
I'm trying to look up if North Korea has a bigger naval fleet. Oh no, they don't. I was hearing something that like, wow, okay, dude, this is crazy. North Korea is just a little bit of just 10 ships below us in naval fleets.
Our ships are huge, though.
That's true. So here, let's just...
And they've put all their resources into their military. If they had to... They couldn't feed their entire force for a month straight if they were to keep attacking.
And they can't even keep the lights on.
Yeah.
Let's just put that. They can't even keep the lights on. That's crazy. Anyways, China has the largest naval fleet with 730 military vessels, and then Russia's got 598 vessels.
I bet a third of those are ice locked into ice.
Why?
Because they're either submarines or like U-boats type of shit.
Okay.
I bet they're all on like the North Pole.
Ice locked is a funny thing. I mean, like,
is it
possibly.
The North Pole or South Pole?
North for. That's hilarious that you just said that.
South Pole is Antarctica, right?
Yeah. Okay. The North Pole is just ice cap, right? It's just an ice cap.
It's like Siberia and all that. Where I don't know if it's that low or high.
I don't even think there's no solid land of North Pole. There's just ice.
Yeah.
That's why we can travel. Like, I guess that's why we have to travel over ice.
But there's so many places in Russia where it's icy and cold. I feel like all those ships are almost not built for it. They're just not built for war.
You say that, but
they ain't ready.
You're not like Kahaya doing the ROTC.
I'll follow in his footsteps.
Right. I forget the ridiculous thing that they have to do. It's like 30 push-ups in a minute and run 2 miles.
2 miles?
And do 10 pull-ups? Something
2
ridiculous
miles
like
in 10 minutes?
No.
Just run 2 miles?
Just finish 2 miles. Or maybe you have to do a 3K, a 5K, which is 3.1 miles, which is nothing. It's nothing.
Yeah. That'd probably take me like 20 minutes or...
If you did 20 minutes, you'd beat my record for 5Ks.
If it's 3 miles?
Yeah, 3.1. Usually...
Well, if you're running... I don't know, actually. You're right.
My best time... I remember getting my best time in cross country, and it was like 19 minutes. And I was like, yes, let's go! But then after the race, they're like, actually, we cut a little bit of the 5K. So it wasn't actually my best time. Which, yeah, the military, dude. At least what Kahaya is telling me, the ROTC program's hilarious. At least for their requirements.
He's getting that discipline.
Yeah, getting that discipline, man.
Dude, that Mexican food knocks me on my ass, though.
Dude, the Mexican food was delicious, wasn't it? It was so good.
Whenever any Mexican food comes with a side of sauce, you drizzle it.
Oh, yeah.
Don't ever waste it.
Don't overdo it.
Oh, yeah, don't overdo it.
Don't ever
waste it.
Yeah. And that was the first time I never got carded for asking for a beer. Let me tell you, I don't look old. So that was wild. That was wild to not get carded.
That's impressive.
I know. I think that is the first time in my life I was just like, yeah, Modelo. The major, yeah.
Ruby's too fluffy, man.
I know.
She's literally softer than a blanket.
Yeah, it's all the years of grooming her. She's still the nicest cat in the world. I think as a mascot, we could make her like a good one. She got aggressive.
She don't like when you say that.
Yeah.
She's good.
I'm not being the mascot. Fucking entitled.
I know.
So entitled. It's crazy.
She can really take up any amount of space and make it hers.
Oh, yeah. It's like she has the exact opposite effect of Stockholm Syndrome. She just like, or not, I don't even know how to say this. She is just in a daze every day. She has no awareness of her surroundings.
She thinks she's the owner.
She thinks she's the fucking god. She thinks she's a god. She stands over me when I wake up like, bitch, what are you doing sleeping? She acts like she owns the place. She's at a point where if I walk by and she's laying on the ground, she'll look up at me while she's laying at the ground and like move around me. You don't need to, like, she has no need to get up. She has no, like, there's like no anxiety when I walk around her anymore. She could literally be falling asleep on the ground and she won't wake up if I walk around her. She does not get two shits. It's crazy. She just has no cares in the world.
Yeah, she is the chillest.
Yeah. This goes back to Nolan. You don't need a dog, bro. A dog is like a child.
Yeah.
And we were talking about you adopting a dog, and oh my god, that would be your grandmother adopting a dog.
I know, right? I don't want to be leaving it anywhere for more than like 20 hours.
Yeah, and I could leave my cat for 3 days as long as I give her enough food and water. She won't even notice I was gone. She'll just be taking a nap, I'm sure. I mean, obviously I'm talking like flamboyantly. She'll be, I don't know. She'll be okay. I could probably leave her for a week with enough food and she'll be fine.
Cats are just like that. They know how to ration. Dogs would eat the bowl the first 30 minutes.
Right. But I will say, though, Ruby will gain a few lbs. A few.
Yeah.
She's still on the heavier side.
Well, she's slimming down, maybe. I don't know. She's always been consistent with looking like that.
She was just so skinny when I first got her.
Yeah.
She was like a skeleton.
She was always pouncing around. And then they get that weight on them. That extra 3.
Yeah.
Extra 3, extra 5.
It's like what do I want to say? The shelter weight. They got shelter weight, which is real thin. And then once they get home, they're like, yep, I'm in a marriage. I'm like,
they filled up.
I'm filling up. Yeah. Yeah. What is it? It's like they say that like when you get married, you and your spouse should gain weight, and if you guys don't gain weight together, usually it's not a happy marriage.
Is that because you're just supposed to be eating out all the time?
No, it's just the fact that like it's more comfort.
Eating together.
Yeah, just more comfort,
Yeah.
Less need for. I don't even know. I'm
guess
sure
that makes sense though. Like as soon as you're married, you should probably but it's probably normal.
It's normal to gain a few pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's normal for you and your spouse to gain weight instead of like get all jacked and ripped and going to the gym every day and you're like like usually it's a little bit opposite.
Yeah.
That's why they're like that's why when a married couple and then either the wife or the husband starts getting a little more jacked and they start going to the gym a little more and they're like, are you cheating? I can't tell you how many Dateline in 2020 episodes I've watched of one of the spouses passing away, dying.
Yeah.
And then the other spouse that lived was also gaining or like going to the gym every day.
Getting real obsessive
about how
fitness.
About fitness. they tend to be...
There's a lot of cliches like that.
So many of them.
The battery is running low.
That's sad. Keep going, though.
That is an interesting topic, though. Weight loss journeys or fitness journeys after your spouse passes away.
I'm talking about when they kill their spouse.
You're talking about Dateline.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. That is
It's a cliche, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's such a cliche. They always suspect the spouse. That's the first person they ask. Is the spouse? Huh? You been working out recently? Huh? You got a little side piece? Huh?
low key though. Our studio would have like probably a weight set or something.
Oh, dude, yeah.
That's worth the investment.
You remember our last high school? Well, I say last. The high school we went to had a little. Did you ever go to the gym in there?
Yeah.
Where it has like a little loft.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool. Having a loft would be cool,
yeah.
And then having like.
It'd be even better. You'd have to like crawl a net or rock climb to get up there to the second story. I think that'd be a lot cooler.
That'd be badass, actually.
Really, you have to work out to get up here.
That'd be badass.
You have to climb.
God.
Either the net or the rocks.
Right.
To get to the better gear.
Man, I'm telling you, that gym room at that high school where they have the little loft. Let's imagine that room.
Yeah.
So you have the little climb thing to get up to the loft where you work out, but then that main floor being the basketball/tennis court.
Yeah, that would free up so much space.
And they
That's
got
what
enough.
I would have done if I had the budget to do everything. I would have had a mini court.
Mm-hmm.
That was just one-sided.
And all you need is a little bit of spray paint to do the floor, and then have the basketball net
And even
a couple benches.
The cushion mats are not that expensive either for 12 by 12
for the walls.
Well, yeah, the walls and the floors, the squishy mat that you would normally feel in a gym.
Yes,
those are not that expensive.
Not at all. And even the machines there, I don't know, $200 a pop, maybe 300 a pop for those machines.
They probably got bundle price, especially as a school.
For sure.
But yeah, if we're known as a educational institute or some bullshit like that, or a resource center,
we could have interns that we don't pay.
Yeah, come here for the spring semester.
Right. Do you want experience in a field?
What does that sound?
It's I turned off my ice machine in my fridge, but it still makes
a
ice.
Weird squeaky. I thought it was I don't know what.
So it stopped, right? Or it's still going, it's still crackling. Now it stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, we're better now.
We're better. We're back. Dude, besides the gym, okay, let's imagine that part, alright. But then,
I think we just
else?
have the minds of interior designers, and we just express it on graphic tees and shit. We just don't have the resources.
We don't have
to
the
put
outlets.
To put our ideas into motion.
I was listening to Tom Segura and a Theo Von podcast, okay, and they were just talking about how they had no ability to interior design, and I couldn't relate less.
Yeah, because I always wanted to be almost like an architecture growing up. I was always playing Sims or Minecraft or just building homes, doing all that random creative shit.
And at a young age, I had the ability to see a lot of homes. I don't know why, but I was just always brought to open houses just to check them out, just to check out new houses.
It's almost like idea boards as a child.
Yeah.
You're just always having access and freedom to just look and roam and see crazy-ass homes, either through Google or just in person, going to crazy monuments. That's why I wanted to replicate it all onto Minecraft, because I just seen crazy monuments and houses. It's like, let me make my own.
And there's nothing but different styles of architecture.
Yeah.
You can go literally everyone's got a different way to build a home. Everybody's it's amazing how many different styles there are.
But were you about to say something about gyms?
Oh, besides the gym, after we designed the Oruga Studios gym, what would be the
rec center?
Rec center, right?
Oruga Rec Center. What is that? Orc? let's wish it into
orc.
Let's wish it into reality.
Right? Yeah, that's funny.
Join Orc.
Yeah. For us to have an acronym of HO, it would be Home Oruga Incorporated, or
House
Home
of Oruga.
No, that'd be HO. I guess that's HO still.
House of Oruga. Damn.
Entertainment. Yes, okay. After the gym is done and after the orc is done, what next?
Jake Paul entrance robot, but real steel version, where it's a real robot, not a person as the mascot.
Oh, okay.
We just start our own real steel fucking movie.
We just have like a boxing thing going on constantly. So like, let's imagine we're doing this podcast
robot
in 10
boxing.
years, and then you just see robot boxers behind us going boom, boom, boom.
We're gonna be the sportscasters for robot boxers. They're not gonna be like, you ever see those robot fights? This is just is just like drone racing.
Yeah,
we were talking about drone racing.
Yes,
it's robot fights.
And they got
spinning things and flamethrowers on them.
Right. No, they have not just spinning things. Like they have saws. They have saws on their robots.
Have buzz saws.
Right. And they have flamethrowers. They got spikes on the edges of it.
I'm surprised that like some Rock'em Sock'em robots haven't came out like that. That are just mech. Where they're made out of like plates of metal and not inexpensive recycled parts, you know?
I think the only reason we haven't done that yet is because still as humans we're so obsessed with human sports.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like we're still obsessed
with... It's not as satisfying.
Right.
Like, yeah, when you see a metal plate fly off or something.
Right. We're just not that innovative.
Compared to like some dude's tooth get like flying through the crowd.
Right.
This dude just nailed an uppercut or something.
Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was watching UFC fights last night, and I was like, still I'm so unevolved that I'm still like, fuck, that guy just got like I'm still into it. So like, for us as like a human civilization to be into having mech suits and having these robots just go full at each other, I think I need to be a little more involved, a little more evolved for that.
That's too
advanced.
Too advanced for our culture.
Too advanced for me, for sure.
It's too ahead of our time.
Yeah, we would need to be like...
The only fighting robots we have look like the Dust Bunny capture robots.
I think we'll have wars of robots.
What are they called? Roombas? They all look like Roombas.
Did you know that there was a case of Roombas spying on people, and that they were collecting data when Roombas were connected to the Wi-Fi?
Why, like NSA?
Yeah, dude. So they back engineered some of these Roombas that were from China. I don't know, and they found out that if the device was connected to the Wi-Fi, then they would somehow hijack the Wi-Fi and just collect massive amounts of data of the interior home. It would be, and the same thing about the radar system. They could convert the radar system that maneuvers the robots and have it listen. That was, you gotta listen to that audio. That was somebody driving by. But anyways, what I'm saying is that they can convert the radar system on those Roombas to convert to listening devices.
What?
And it wasn't like a traditional microphone, but it would be like a radar microphone, which is it still does the same stuff.
Damn.
Crazy, dude.
Hit your Roomba with a baseball bat right now.
Because it's communism, and we gotta save ourselves from communist and socialists.
Even if you're listening to this podcast through your Roomba, I'm just kidding. Is that even possible? Can you Bluetooth sync?
Kill it!
Smash me. Imagine people just have like an Amazon Alexa or just like a Google Nest thing or whatever, and we're just speaking through it.
Right.
Smash it.
And we got to be ready.
Visit orugastore.com today and enter the discount code OP15 for 15% off your order on all Oruga merch. Free shipping for orders over $50 is available as well. Thank you.
This was not an official statement released by Oruga Studios. All statements made here are not officially.
We are backed by China. If you have any questions or comments, just hit our email at ownersoforuga@gmail.com. If you want to interact with us, we're just human beings, so don't worry.
We are, 20 episodes deep?
This is episode 19, folks.
19.
Yeah.
We're almost there. We're crossing the threshold of the numbers.
Imagine, I don't know if episode 20 will have the new mics, but that would be a fun one if we do.
I know, we just have an evolution every 10 episodes. It's like we're evolving as Pokemon.
Literally. Because by the episode 9 or 10, we got those commercials down, and we have all of our intros down, and by episode 20, we'll have new mics, and by episode 30 or 40, we'll have all new cameras.
Just more and more.
Yeah.
We look like we have our shit together. That's what it's supposed to look like. We're trying to convey.
We're trying to convey that we're professionals.
We do this executively.
Right. So, thank you so much for listening, you fellow Orugans.
The Oruga Podcast.
Somehow somebody's always looking the other way. Now look at these guys. They look busy, right?